in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the co-host for Fight CPS with Miss G, and I also work for the law office of Vincent W. Davis. I have my two wonderful guests today, Dave and Art, and they're both amazing men, and they do amazing work. Dave, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Dave Shackelford. I'm a private investigator. I'm based out of the Indianapolis, Indiana area, but I cover the nation.
Good morning. Name's Art Bustamante, licensed investigator out of California, and also cover coast to coast.
Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we start, guys, I just wanted to share something with you. Last night, around 10:45 p.m., I received a call from one of our clients, and she told, well, you know how there's cameras in the home, cameras that people put in their home.
Sure.
This client is a grandmother. She showed me a video of her daughter dying in front of her eyes when the social worker in her home stole her daughter's kids based on her ex-husband's allegations against her. And the social worker told her on camera that she will never see her kids again. That moment, instantly, this is the first time I have ever seen, well, that someone dies from a heart attack instantly.
Wow.
I didn't sleep all night. I was up until maybe 3:15 in the morning. And I was literally crying with the grandma.
Wow.
And that was real shit. Like, seriously, real shit. It was the most intense. It was bad.
Those kind of situations seem to be, rare, thank God. But it's very real. These situations are very real.
Yeah. Dave, what's your thought on that?
Your sound got very odd just now. Did you do something? Did you push a button? No?
Can you hear me okay, Art?
Yeah, I'm fine. I have my headphones on now, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
It's hard to comment on that scenario. It's almost hard to believe that stuff goes on, but obviously it does. I mean, she literally
Yes.
died. She physically died.
Yeah. She had a heart attack.
I can understand the stress involved in something
The
like that.
paramedics were there, and the whole the video. It was intense. Um, it was intense. Paramedic came, and she was pronounced dead. Yeah, she had a heart attack. It's like
Yeah.
she couldn't process. I think what it is, there's a lot of women when you steal their children, obviously, they their heart is broken. Some women develop a heart disease from it. It's called the broken heart syndrome.
Yeah.
Sure.
And other women, they die. They die. So it's for the social worker to tell the mother, you will never see your kids again because of our ex-husband's allegations.
Right.
It's kind of like, you're not just taking a pair of shoes or a Louis Vuitton bag. You're not stealing a Louis Vuitton bag, right? It's expensive, right? You're stealing our children, meaning it does something to the mother's psyche.
Well, of course it does.
It's their DNA, their child DNA stays in the mom for the rest of the mother's life. So for them to do something like this is very tragic, and they're stealing kids left and right for just allegations. Anybody can make an allegation, Art and Dave.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Make an allegation.
Yeah.
And they
The
will
trauma involved in something like that affects the parents, but more so, as we've heard on other shows, the children. Very young, being pulled away, ripped away, stolen from their family. However the kids see it, when there's false allegations, you're dealing with so many people being traumatized at one time.
Right.
And the kids don't understand.
So now someone has to tell their child, your mother is dead.
The child witnessed it. It was traumatizing. I saw the video. She would try to send it to me, but she couldn't because it was too big. She didn't know. She's a grandma. She didn't know how to do it.
Right.
So what she did, she got her neighbor's phone, and she didn't even know how to do FaceTime. So basically what she did is that she was on the neighbor showed her how to do FaceTime with me, and from her phone, from the neighbor's phone, and then on her phone, on the grandmother's phone, she showed me the footage of the video from, of what happened.
From the other phone, yeah.
From the other phone. So it was kind of hard to explain to her how to do it, so she had to get a neighbor to help her. But watching it did something to me. I couldn't, like I said, I understand how she felt as a mother. And I know those kids are going to grow up and blame their dad for what happened. Because the social worker told her right there and then that her husband reported her ex-husband.
Right.
And then the first thing that came in the grandmother's head is like, he doesn't want to pay child support. That's why he's doing all this.
Wow. Like I said, that's pretty extreme, for something like that to happen.
Yeah.
And thank God that it's rare. But now we have situations where there's somebody who has passed from this, died from this, because of the trauma involved. And I'm sure if that person had a weak heart, that's going to happen. Any kind of serious trauma to your mind, body, whatever, is going to create that situation. But that's extreme. And, but it's real. That's somebody's family now has to plan a funeral.
Yep. And that's
obviously the estate has the litigation.
Yeah.
Against both I think against the Child Protection Service person individually as well as the organization.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a suit. Definitely.
Well, definitely. The thing about it is this is not the first time I heard this. There are a lot of people who tell us that social workers threaten them in front of them.
Sure.
I mean, this is not the first time.
But they're untouchable. You got to understand.
Right.
When's the last time you heard of a social worker being reprimanded or fired because of their conduct? I would invite you to find an example of the last time that occurred.
Never.
Yeah, you're not going to find one.
They actually get promoted.
So they know they're untouchable. So there's no boundaries.
Nope. There's no
Yeah.
boundaries, and that's why they continue to do what they're doing. And it's unfortunate because it's evil. It's just malicious. It's demonic in so many ways. Social workers are trained to lie. They are trained to lie. And when I tell people that, a normal person cannot process that because they think that Title Child Protective Services is the way to help children and families.
Right.
And we had a social worker or an ex-social worker. The same thing has happened to her daughter. Called us 2 days ago, and she said to us that she wanted to speak to Mr. Davis because she wanted to explain everything that the social workers do. She said she was trained to lie. Now that they're doing the same thing to her daughter and her grandkids, right? Now that she's retired, whatever.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing to her daughter and her grandkids, and she said that they actually trained her to lie.
Very believable, and people know that now.
Yeah. So when she said that, I was like, then why did you stay? She said, I need a job.
Well, people may know that they're trained to lie, but they still never know when they're lying.
What do you mean? You never, they lie. You do know when they're lying.
But you never know when the social worker is telling a lie because they're so good at lying.
They're trained.
Yeah, but they believe their own story.
Right.
Well, that's why they hire narcissistic, sociopathic social workers to do their job. They're not going to hire a compassionate person.
Yeah.
And I believe I did express that on my shows before. You guys were not on my show. However, my goddaughter, who I call her my niece, graduated from UCLA. Went a year and 6 months ago, went to a social worker to apply for DCFS. I mean, to apply as a social worker, right? She went for an interview. She did they give her a psychiatric evaluation, whatever. The psychiatric evaluation came as 92 or 94% compassionate. And the supervisor told her she couldn't hire her for that. And also she asked her if she's going to have kids one day. And she said yes. And the supervisor told her to think of another career.
Wow.
Right. So, and then she asked the supervisor, so she said, and I quote, so you're telling me you're hiring, you guys hire sociopathic, narcissistic people? And she said, yeah, you could say that. And she said that she laughed. The supervisor.
Wow.
So how do you process that? So
I mean,
she complained.
Yeah, you have situations like you were saying where people, they go into it with certain intentions, like with every job. You want to do that job, you want to do a good job, but if you're too compassionate, and you're not able to follow their script. Dave once mentioned on one of the previous shows that, you're part of this group, this club, and, there's rules and procedures and policies that you have to follow in order to maintain that position. And if you do well in that position, following their guidelines, their script, you'll get moved around, you'll get moved up. But if you can't follow those rules that they've set for you, you're not going to be able to you're going to take yourself out of the situation because they can't use you. You're too compassionate. You care too much.
Yeah. And Dave mentioned several things. I mean, Dave, what would
the collection?
Can you hear us, Dave?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
No worries.
Another case just raised its ugly head. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Have you handled a case like that before where you see the social worker doing something illegal, maybe doing a visit or something you've done back in the day?
I can't say I've seen them do something illegal. I've seen them doing nothing and ignoring the obvious. The lack of diligence and the lack of compliance with their requirements is just so obvious. I don't know that I can say that I've seen them doing something blatantly.
I think I lost you guys for a second here.
So what if
there I am.
What if Dave, I had a client ask me that question. She lives in Illinois, and she asked me if she wants to hire a private investigator to monitor her visit.
Sure.
And what if the visit is 3 hour long? She asked if if
Somehow
the
I
monitor is
lost you
gonna
guys.
object to
Not
the
sure what happened.
visitation. Like, for example, if they hire a private eye to monitor the monitor, because she said the monitor lies on her report, right?
Right.
So she wants to hire a private investigator. She said that she feels like the social worker is going to deny it. Can they do that?
No, they can't. She's got the right to have, number one, for her to be present, or any representative that she appoints to be present.
Okay.
So they cannot deny the presence of a person who's checking the checker. You know, it's always the question is who checks the checkers, and that's what a guy like me would be doing.
Okay. So what if that visitation I was asked, it was in the like the social workers building? Then what happens?
No difference.
They deny you entrance.
Well, I'm not an attorney, so that would be a question for an attorney. They're violating her civil rights by denying her entry or my entry. If she appoints me as a representative to monitor the visitation, I'm the same as her. So if they deny me, the same as denying her entrance to the building.
So basically, she would have to notify her attorney, and even if just in case, and request that the private investigator be present with her, because she feels or that there's untruth written down from the monitor, and she needs to protect herself.
Right.
And I believe that would be great.
We would have a written document wherein she states, you know, if she hires me, David Shackelford, as my representative to be present during any visitation with CPS, and that document, should tell them I am the same as her in terms of the eyes of the law.
Okay. I know Art, you disappeared for a few seconds. But I was asking Art, what if, like, in California, Los Angeles or Santa Monica, whatever.
Yeah.
If they want you to monitor the monitor, and they're in a building, the DCFS building, and they will not let you go in the room to monitor the monitor. And I know that I would have to ask Mr. Davis about this, that for them to request a private investigator with them to monitor the monitor, because there's untruth written down in the report. Have you had
Of course.
that in California?
Most of my cases are monitoring outside of the offices. I haven't had one within an office itself, within a facility, say like a CPS office or one of those private rooms or anything like that. I would have to look into that. Most of my encounters are always outside or within a residence.
Right. However, usually when they steal children from the parents, usually when they're in the court proceeding, they do the visits in their building.
Yeah.
Usually. So when this happens, I have a lot of people call me after Dave was on my show and after you were on my show, asking me these questions. And I even had the opportunity to ask Mr. Davis, because it's in their building and they need to hire you guys to monitor the monitors. Because the monitors in the DCFS building, they're all corrupt. We all know that.
Well, of course,
they're all corrupt. I mean, they will write down information that's totally untrue.
Yeah.
So
situations like that, yes, you want to have maybe even a representative, maybe a lawyer or whatever. If they can't do that, they need to, if they want to get us in there, that's fine. I think I heard Dave mention, maybe there's a document that needs to be satisfied so we can go in with them. Even as a regular person, I'm like Dave said, I'm the same as you, and I want to come in and monitor because I'm with them now, and, we do carry some important weight to the point where we study. We know the laws of the states we're in or the states we're going to work in. We have to study. We have to know these things before we go into a situation. And, although each territory is slightly different, Most states are conservative. Some people don't want you recording in certain government buildings and in certain offices. Obviously, you can't in courtrooms per se, but for the most part, we should be able to get into these rooms as well.
Speaking of there's laws in California. I mean, there's laws. There's the Child Welfare Services investigation laws, meaning if you have any interaction with a social worker, basically the day he or she became a social worker, they consented to recording.
Right.
That's why I don't understand that. They consented to be recorded.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, I've heard people say in the courtroom, the judges will say, "Oh, you can't record the visits." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean you can't record the visits? What does that mean?" And then the social workers will actually tell parents, "You got to shut down the cameras." But they don't want to be caught, and I get that.
Right.
So people need protection really well. And I know that you handled a couple of cases, several cases are from our office.
Yeah.
And Dave, a lot of people contact you as well.
Right. The situation is, you always want to record, especially if you're out in public or even within your own home. And let's say you don't have an investigator there helping you out, monitoring the monitor, you should still be able to record, and you should. I know it's incredibly difficult to get certain things done in California because everything is so overwhelmed with, political BS.
Yeah.
But you do have that right to record, especially, even the first moment you have a situation or contact with CPS or a social worker, you should be recording. Write everything down. Ask a bunch of questions. For however it is you can record, even if you like just pen and pencil, write things down. The situations could get out of control, but, always maintain your cool, always stay calm, ask a lot of questions, record everything.
Well, that's the advantage of having a guy like me or Art present, is that we haven't got a dog in the fight emotionally.
Yeah.
Here you have a parent involved in a highly emotional, highly volatile scenario involving CPS and their child. And it's kind of tough to keep cool sometimes because of that. Art and I were kind of like impartial, if you will. So we can keep our cool while the CPS worker acts like a fool.
Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. While the CPS worker acts like a fool.
But I've got to bring up a subject here, and that is I received 3 texts and a 1:30 a.m. phone call after my last broadcast with you. They all seemed to be amazed that I was going to charge them money.
Yeah.
They've got to understand that this is how I put food on the table, is by doing what I do as an investigator.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all get amazed when they even call me, and I tell them we have to have a retainer. And I had this lady, she said to me, she said, "Well, does that mean you want me to lose my kids?" I said, "It has nothing. It's not I want you to lose your kids. I'm not the social worker. I'm not the one who made the report against you.
Right.
I understand your pain. However, attorneys get paid for their services. And like you, Dave, and like you, Art, that's your living, right?"
Right.
Yeah.
And
like Dave said, people have to understand that, yes, we do set up retainers, with everybody that we work with. And we do a lot of work. We do what they need. We set up to handle situations. And, we've been doing this a very long time, and there's experience there. And I mentioned this last time, just like with you, Georgette, and everybody that works with Vincent, is you guys do a lot of work.
Yes.
It's whether it's paperwork, whether it's whatever experience you bring, you're giving everything you can to that case. Okay. And that takes time, a lot of time. In our case, between Dave and I, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of information we have to gather first.
Yes.
There's the way we conduct ourselves. We have to maintain reports and videos and our license in order to be able to handle these situations. So if it does get to court, you have us there as support. You have what we bring. Okay. And that takes time. This is our job. This is what we do. And we're professionals.
Yeah, I get that. I
People need to understand
that.
that, just like lawyers.
Right. So I do understand that. And I tell people this all the time. Would you go work for free?
Well, to me, it was amazing. One phone call, and I've got to be somewhat generic here. The lady has met all the requirements to get her child back from the guardian, and the judge refuses to release the child back to the mother. And she said that I'm convinced that in this small town, the judge and the guardian are in cahoots. I said, well, I've got a computer database that when I put the judge's name and address into the database, it's going to show me everybody who's had any connection with him in the last 10 years. So if they're in cahoots, this is going to reveal it. On my own, doing surfing at 2:00 in the morning, which I'm sure Art can appreciate.
Right.
I found that they were both donors to a nonprofit organization in the same town.
Wow.
I asked them to send me $100, which is what that database charge is. Never did. So you're all up in arms about getting your child back, but you won't spend $100 to get the proof that you need to get your child back.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, here I said.
I'm glad you said that, Dave. I too get calls, and I got a little bit hot with one of the people that called me at 2:30 in the morning, and he called me like 4 or 5 times back to back, and I literally answered the phone after the 4th time, and I said, it's 2:30 in the morning, and he's in California, so he knows it's 2:30 in the morning, and he said, but I really need to speak with you. I said, nothing is going to change at 2:30 in the morning.
Right.
It's not gonna change. Things are gonna stay the same until the morning, right? Until I start working and I can call you back and what have you. But some people, I feel like they feel entitled. I feel like they have they're not really considering the other person too. And when people want to hire somebody to do a job like this, like yours or Art, and Mr. Davis and our attorneys in our office, they think that they can get it for free because kids are involved.
Right.
Now,
also, they've got to remember that they've been fighting this fight for months and perhaps even years before Art or I get involved. Well, we're starting from scratch. So all this multiple month or multiple year history and all the baggage and all the events of the case is commonplace to them because they've been living it. It's brand new to me and Art. We have no idea what's been going on.
It's going to take us a minute to catch up. And yes, we do we've been getting these kind of situations for decades between me and Dave. And yes, we do get the calls and people, and I can see what Georgette is saying is like, people have to have some consideration. They also are terrified. We've seen it where people panic and they're like, so people need to just take a deep breath. People are here to help. And setting up strategies, setting up the right people to help you is key early on, because we know you're scared. We see these cases every day, all the time. All 3 of us right now, we're looking at our phones, our computers. We're getting tons of people who need help. Calls. We're getting calls right now, text messages, whatever. I mean, we are located in different areas. So sometimes you have to take that into consideration. I'm out of California. Dave, where is your specific place? You're out of Illinois, correct?
No, I'm just north of Indianapolis.
Oh, very good.
Indiana.
Yeah, because I actually, when I'm in California, I got a bunch of calls and I sent them over to you. I gave them your information and your name, because you can handle it easier on your end as on my end. But, we can travel both ways. Doesn't matter.
Oh, I've been in 43 states in Mexico doing this.
So. Yeah.
We're all over the place.
But honestly, guys, I just want to tell the viewers this, okay? Attorneys get paid for their services. Detectives get paid investigators get paid for their services. That's a lot of work. I have seen what Art does, literally. And I cannot discuss this, really, because I can't.
Thank you.
However, it's intense. And I believe Dave definitely is the same. Intense. It's intense work. Same attorneys. They don't know your case. People think, only wanted us to go to court for her next week for 1 day. 1 day. And it's a juvenile case, not family law, juvenile. And I said, ma'am, we don't take 1 day retainer. There is no such thing as 1 day. We pay for 1 day and that's it. It doesn't work that way. I said, you're dealing with the state, right? So she said, well, I can only afford 1 day. So you guys want us to lose our children. You guys are fake. You guys are this, you guys are that. And I'm like, how are we fake? How is that fake? Because the attorney requires to get paid for his or her services. Same thing with Art. Same thing with Dave, right? And this is the lady I was trying to tell you earlier. I said, would you work for Mr. Davis for free? Right? I said, would you answer the phone for free for 5 years or 2 years or 1 year?
Right.
Said, absolutely not. I said, then why would you want us to help you for free?
Yeah. And people come across that all the time. They come across situations where, okay, we understand, having an attorney. We understand, using investigators to go out and, solidify this case, make things better for them. They're trying to fight a situation, and it's not cheap. It isn't. And,
No.
And you'll find out, no matter which investigator you look for, no matter which lawyer you look for, they have to have that experience in that. And believe it or not, you have a lot of surveillance investigators. You have a lot of attorneys that deal in just family law, that deal in just criminal. But in order to deal with juvenile dependency and everything CPS, you have to find those people that are going to help you with the strategy, that are going to help you put this case together, because they have the experience to do that.
And it's a strategy. Mr. Davis is very big on that. And Dave, you have a strategy. Art, you have a strategy. You don't just, every case is different.
Yeah, every single case is different.
Every request they have is different location. And I told this lady, I said, gas alone is like almost $6 a gallon in California.
Right.
I said, my little car, I filled it up
crazy.
with $60.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's kind of like, wow. And then I said, then they go, and if you want them to go to court with you, then they have to park. I said, when I went to court, right, in downtown LA, my parking was $27. $27.
Yeah, just for the day you're there.
For parking. I said, and gas and travel and all the hours you have to do your job. And I know you and Dave are kick butt. I know. That's why I got you guys on my show again. A lot of people were asking me questions, like I said, about you guys. And people need to know we will get paid for our services. Okay. There is no pro bono. You guys get pro bono, and that pro bono is not helping you. That pro bono, the court pretender in juvenile courts, don't help you.
Right.
You're hindering your case. You understand?
And we have to work every part of it. We have to look at right from the beginning and take you through all of the different scenarios. We have to be able to look at what we need to do.
Right.
And set it up and come up with a plan and come up with ideas and set things up. So it's a lot of work. So when you contact a lawyer, when you contact Georgette or an investigator, we're going to want to sit down, or in nowadays, we're going to just get you on the phone and we're going to start from the beginning. We want to know who, what, where, how, when, and what we can do. We need to know exactly what you need us to do.
Yes,
we're not going to just guess these things.
Right.
We don't know the case. So we're going to start from the beginning, and we're going to break down all that information, because we're investigators or lawyers that they need to know exactly what you need and how we can best serve you.
Right. We have a client, and I want to get to Dave next on that one. We have a client that told us, I asked him, I said, how did you afford, because I want to help people, be able to get money to hire an attorney, investigators, what have you. He said, Georgette, I stayed with my brother and his wife until I got my kids back. So he sold everything he had.
Sure.
Stayed with his brother and his wife until he got his kids back. Then once he got his kids back, then he said, my life just got on track again. So it's people will do everything possible.
Right.
Instead of buying a brand new car, right? That's one of our people told us. She bought a brand new car and she can't afford an attorney. I said, did you pay cash for your brand new car? She said, yes.
Love their excuses.
She said, I need a car to go visit my kids. I said, but you also need your kids, right? Fully with you. So you don't have to commute the distance.
Right.
So
Everybody has to sacrifice. There's some sacrifice. And we understand that. You know, we've been, between me and Dave, we've been working these kind of cases for years. And we understand the difficulty. And believe it or not, there are some adjustments we'll make. We will help you. But you have to understand these services, it's a lot of work for everybody involved. We know you're stressed. We want to help you. We want to give you the best product. And we're going to give you that best product no matter what the charge is.
Right.
Okay, but you have to understand, we need to be able to set up these cases. We need to be able to put our best efforts, always, 100%.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it's very true.
In
And
the category of forehead slapping case, I had a case where a young man was in a southern Indiana jail and became violently ill, airlifted to a hospital in Louisville, Kentucky, where he died. Well, the mother hired me to prove that the jail personnel is what generated the injury that caused the death. And I was given the names of 2 former inmates who were willing to testify to that. But the mother had no money. So I gave her a price tag of what it would take to do the investigation. And she started having fundraising events and car washes and raised a whole bunch of money, and then had a brain aneurysm and spent all the money on her medical bills.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
And so everything that was all set up to investigate this young man's death vanished.
Oh, my God. That's so unfortunate. That's sad.
And I had 75% solved already.
Mm-hmm.
No, situations will happen like that. And we see everything. We see everything in between, up and around. And, we do the best we can with what we have. And sometimes situations like this happen and they're unfortunate. But we see people that don't have money. All of a sudden, they're like, okay, I got it. Let's go to work. I got the money. I usually don't ask how, when, or why you got it. But then we move on with the investigation.
Right.
You're paying for experience. People have to understand that you're paying for us to get a job done for you. Mm-hmm. And now that private investigators, detectives are involved in this now, and it seems to be a thing because they need us to go out there and monitor these things, do surveillance, get video, and also do background checks. And, this is what we do.
Yeah.
Well, it's been my experience that once a private investigator gets involved, CPS straightens up their act.
Oh, they don't like being investigated.
When they understand
they hate us sleeping around.
Yeah.
Right.
They hate it.
But they can't touch us. They can't tell us to stop. Well, they can tell us whatever they want.
Right.
But, we know what we can do, and they know what we can do. And like Dave says, they get a little stressed out.
Yeah.
Right.
But actually, the thing is with social workers, they don't of course, a narcissist doesn't like to get caught, right? He doesn't want to be exposed. Same thing with the social workers. So when you expose them, they get angry, but it doesn't mean they're going to lose their job, because they don't. They really don't lose their job. But they will be exposed to help the attorney more on the case. There's a lot involved. Like, strategy is important. You catch somebody stealing a department store, right? Mm-hmm. Gold and diamond, whatever. I mean, a jewelry store with all the gold and diamond, whatever, right? They're going to get caught, right? This person will go to jail, right? I don't know how long, but eventually they're going to put him in jail. With the social worker, they will be caught. However, they're not going to jail. They're just going to get promoted, right? So that attorney will use this strategy now, right, to win the case, along with also the strategy of a private investigator and how to get the hidden truth out.
Right. And all we reveal as investigators is fact. That's all we're revealing.
Right.
Whether it's a report, whether it's our video, we're not manufacturing these things. We're not editing things. in order to hold our license and our insurance and everything that we hold dear to our business and company,
Right.
is it has to be legitimate. And that's why people trust us. And that's why you need to look for a licensed investigator, make sure that they're insured. Same thing with lawyers, make sure that they deal with CPS, social workers, not just a family law, attorney, because they might not have everything they need. It has to be incredibly specific. They need to know what to do and how to do it.
Right. It's very specific. And I mean, guys, I can't discuss again about Art and Dave, what they do. However, I can tell you this much. What they do is very important. It's very important for the case also.
Well, I happen to have my Illinois private detective license as well as my Indiana, which, by the way, in Illinois, I'm a private detective. In Indiana, I'm a private investigator. But
it's interesting how they label things.
But I like the category. When you apply for your license in Illinois, you're categorized as a detector of the truth.
Right.
Nice. I like that.
That should be the name of my book I'm writing.
Yes.
I like that.
But that's how the state of Illinois views our occupation, as detectors of the truth.
Yeah.
That's actually very beautiful. That is the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm getting that on a shirt.
Yes, you
Detectors
should.
of truth.
Art, I swear you should.
Because it's all we do. It's all we do. We just find
amazing.
facts.
Yes. Right. And the truth. And I like that. I would buy that shirt. Yeah, I would really love that. But what you guys do is very important. I can't discuss Art because, again, I can't. There's so much that he does, and
there's so much going on.
I can't. However, it helps a lot on cases, you guys, a lot, and it helps expose the social worker. It helps expose the ugly truth. Let me put it to you that way.
I'll give you a quick example. A couple of weekends ago, I was out working a case, and the grandparents were very overwhelmed with the situation where the CPS, the monitor was falsifying things. So basically, my job was to go out and videotape while the guardian was meeting with the child, and then you have your monitor there as well. And all I did was I stood back with my video camera, and I have, as investigators, you have multiple cameras, you have multiple batteries. You want this to go a long way. They were out there for several hours playing. The interaction was wonderful. And, we want to make sure that the picture matches what the report is going to be from the monitor. The interaction between the child and the guardian or the parent, it should match. But the fact that I was there making sure that the monitor writes exactly what my video showed as far as the interaction matched, and they loved it. They were amazed at how well behaved the monitor was this time, because the monitor knew I was there.
Of course.
They didn't like it, and they kept looking back at me with these faces, right? But they had to keep themselves in check, and they knew there's a private investigator over there watching this person, and they couldn't do anything about it, and they were frustrated. And I found out that they wrote a nice report. The interaction that they wrote about was exact this time, and it's amazing how something like that happens when now the monitors are being monitored.
That's perfect right there. Dave, go ahead then.
Well, it depends on how you want to do it. I've also done that covertly.
Yeah.
They had no idea that I was taping them.
There's that too, yeah.
And then you have the quandary of the report matching the tape. In a way, Art's approach was better because it put the monitor on notice from moment one, and so it was a nice, clean visit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but doing it both ways, like with Dave, and I've done it also covert, where you're basically you're hiding. You're in your car, you're sitting somewhere else, you're across the street, or you're in a way where they can't see you, and you hope that monitor is going to stay legit. You hope that they're going to stay truthful and factual, because that, like what Dave's doing, that's another way to catch them. All of a sudden, they're writing a report on a hostile interaction, even between the monitor and the parent, and there was no hostile interaction. So that
Right.
catches them. You either keep them in check there, or you add to the situation and get that video and prove that parent was fine. That parent acted appropriately.
Right. But honestly, wouldn't it be better to catch them lying and then be known?
Of
I
course,
mean,
yeah. Either way is
wouldn't that
going
be
to
better
work.
to show the before and after they know you're there?
Yeah, either way will work.
Am I right, Dave? Or
Well, yes and no. Yeah, you're right. But then look at the paperwork that's going to be generated when their report doesn't match the tape. Being overt, like Art was, you avoid all that after work that would be generated. It's great to catch them,
yeah,
but then you got to do more work, and that costs
and it's
money.
great. It's
Right.
great to keep them in check. Let them know that they're being watched and they're being monitored.
Right. Yeah.
it's great to keep them in check. It's even better to keep them honest at all times.
Yeah, that's the whole goal.
The whole
see,
goal.
I had a case
It's not gonna
here in
not gonna
Indiana
happen.
where the grandparents employed me, and grandparents' rights in Indiana are real thin. They're not very well
You're
stated.
right. I know.
But they hired me not to get custody of the child, but to get the child moved to a guardian.
What?
Because the custodial mother was so abusive. But she couldn't get CPS involved. They would just refuse to be involved. So I had to gather the evidence that the child needed to be moved to a guardianship, opposed to the custodial mother.
What do you mean she didn't? The grandparents didn't want CPS involved? Is that what you said?
But they wanted them involved, and CPS wouldn't get involved.
But do you see what I'm talking about? That part right there. I've been saying on my shows a lot. Oftentimes, I say that CPS loves abusers. They do. They take children from good parents, but leave the children with the abusers.
Well, this was a lousy parent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And the grandparents knew it, so they wanted to get the child out of that environment. So my efforts resulted in the child being provided to a guardian, opposed to with the custodial mother.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
We do good damage.
Yes. Well, I don't know what you call good damage, but
well, which means is we're creating a situation where we come in and we do damage to what they want to do. The monitors want to do. They want to lie. They want to falsify reports. They want to do things against what they should be doing. We come in and we stop that. We create that damage for them because they don't want to be exposed.
Right.
They don't like being looked at. They don't want to be investigated. So they take a step back and they have to act appropriate.
Yeah.
As we're walking out the door, Art and I say to ourselves, well, let's go ruin somebody's day.
Let's go do some good damage.
Good damage. I like that. Okay, I get that. One of our followers here said, I am curious, does CPS monitor social media? Yeah.
Yep. So do we.
Absolutely.
Of course they do.
Does Art and Dave.
Of course they do.
Actually, Dave and Art, I love those two because they know exactly what they're doing. I would rather have them on my side than my family.
We are family.
Seriously, we are family, yes. But what I'm trying to say is that they're really good at what they do, you guys. Really,
well, you sure don't want us on the other side. I can assure you that.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. They're really good at what they do. Also, social workers will follow you on social media all the time. They will also know if you have a GoFundMe account on social media. And if you do have a GoFundMe account, they will threaten you, bully you, and tell you to bring it down. I asked Mr. Davis about that. He said they can't do that. Again, they bully people.
Yeah, they will ask.
People.
You know, they'll make it sound like they're going to not make things go your way unless you do what they want.
Right.
You know, they have their own agenda.
They don't want them to get an attorney. They don't want them to get, any kind of help to expose them. What they want people to do is to be servants to them.
Right.
They want to be obedient to the government.
But we know better.
Obedient to them. Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes. okay,
They can't bully
whatever.
everybody.
Yeah, that's what they want. So parents have rights. However, like I said, but they set rules in place to violate your rights. So that's why you need a attorney with a strategy to reverse all the damage that the other piece of shit court pretender did on the case.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that they do that you're not aware of. We hear your story, but we have to review their statements, their lies. We have to, that's where the strategy comes in.
Each case is incredibly different.
Different, but yet the same. I can't explain.
In a way, yeah.
Different, but yet the same because they lie about it.
There's a common thread throughout all the cases.
There's what, Dave?
A common thread of the cases. But then the deviation from that thread becomes so varied you can't even predict it.
Right. That is very true. It's very true. And that is why it's very important, you guys, too. If you don't have the money to hire an attorney or a private investigator, do whatever you can. There's ways. There's funding agencies that I've learned about throughout the year. Funding agencies fund you for attorney retainers. You have to find it in your state and county. I don't know of any. I used to know one. However, they're not doing that anymore. But it's always important for you to find ways to get your children back.
Yeah.
Because that's why the state and the counties make it very difficult, because they want to adopt your children. They want to get your children adopted. They don't want your children with you. They really don't.
Well, because they make money off of that, just like everything else. It always comes down to money. 100%.
Going back to that case I referred to earlier, where the mother has met all the criteria to get her child back, and the judge won't do it.
Yep.
Obviously, the guardian is getting money by having that child.
Yeah.
Correct.
It makes
so you need the right people to investigate that.
How many other children does that guardian have?
Yep. A lot.
But because of the lack of $100, I couldn't get involved in the case. We might discover she's got 5 children that she's being paid to be guardian of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are foster parents who have 9 kids, and the foster parent is friends or relatives to the social worker.
Right.
9 kids.
Yeah, because they get money for each kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
and why. Go ahead.
I mean, people don't want to even give the $100. They think if they do that, it's too much money, but they don't understand the amount of work that's required to get that information. The amount of softwares you have to have, or whatever. I don't know what you guys do, but I have
everything we do, we pay for, whether it's our equipment, our databases, our cars, our gas. We need to cover all these expenses.
Yeah.
The tag on your thing is, the secret, how to fight and CPS and win. Well, it's no real secret anymore. It's knowledge. It's preparation. It's understanding things that we know. Okay. And we have the knowledge to get the work done, to get the job done, to get the information you need. So that's what's needed. And we have that because we've been doing this a while. We've been doing it a long time.
Yep. That is very
You're paying
true.
for knowledge. You're paying to get things done.
To get things done. Because after, like, I had a client or a caller yesterday, she said to me, "Oh, I can do this on my own. I'm a good mom. I know what I'm doing."
Good luck,
I
man.
said, "You know what you're doing?" She said, "Oh, I filed this, I filed that." I said, "But what happened with the result? What's the result?" And then she said, "Well, the judge turned it back, said that it was incomplete, or something was not right about the forms." She said, "I just want somebody to help me with the forms." I said, "That's fine and dandy. We do have services where we can help you with forms, coaching you, consulting you. Mr. Davis will tell you what you need to do." And I said, also, that's a retainer, a smaller retainer, right? So she said, "Oh, honey, I need it for free." I said, "But
that's how things work.
Yeah, that's the attorney's time."
For free.
And she said, "Well, why can't they do it for free?" I said, "Because you're taking the attorney's time, right? So every time the attorney invests in a case, he or she has to get paid." "Oh, no, I just want pro bono." It's like, that's the famous thing for them, pro bono. And then she said, okay, I'm going to call you in 2 months down the line. She said, my kids are going to be adopted, but I would want to hire you guys to get them out of adoption. I was listening to her and I'm like,
it's a lot of work.
Wait for the kids to be adopted.
Right.
It's best to get the kids before adoption.
Sure.
But when I tried to guide her to tell her, do a GoFundMe or ask family and friends, I said, you guys have no idea of how much people willing to help. When you ask around, you'll get a $5 here, $10 here, $500 here, $200 here, and it adds up.
Yes.
It adds up.
Yeah, definitely.
Believe me, it adds up. And do whatever you can to get your kids back. I know it's not your fault. I know sometimes you are a victim, or most time you are a victim of CPS. The other times your family are reporting you. I don't know why families are doing this, but it's just disgusting.
And there's a lot of people that are going to watch this, and they're hopefully they understand that you need to find people wherever area you're in that understand what's happening, that can help you get through this. And like Georgette said, set up a strategy for your specific case, not the other person's case, not the person before you or the person after your specific case.
Right.
As whether it's a lawyers, investigators, whether you have somebody like Georgette that does everything, you have to have people with the knowledge and understand your information. And we're going to sit down with you and we're going to talk to you. We need to know every aspect of what's happening. We just don't go out and roll video. We need to know exactly what it is that's going on within the system, within the case, within your specific case.
Right.
And between me, Dave, and the other investigators, we work all the time. 1 o'clock in the morning, I came out. I'm on site right now because I have a case I'm starting at 7:30, and it also has to do with CPS. So this is what we do. We work to help you guys win your cases, to win your situations.
Yep, it is very true. Dave also works all hours of the night. Am I right, Dave?
Oh, that's an understatement.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, guys don't sleep. I'm being honest with you guys. I
we
mean,
nap.
They nap, but they really
nap.
don't. Yeah, they really don't fully get an 8-hour sleep, obviously. So their job is intense, and if you do their job, you would want to get paid for it. However, try to get help from family, friends. I have a client that went in her neighborhood and she showed like her case, like she did like a synopsis about her case. She had pictures of her children, and she had the court, the what do you call it? The removal of the children paper with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she went from door to door. She collected 15,800.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, Georgette, this is for our attorney. And then she asked me about a private investigator in Virginia. I told her that I'm going to have Dave on my show. I wasn't sure if you're able to go to Virginia or not, Dave, but
Sure.
she's supposed to be watching right now.
Again, Virginia's not a problem. I've been there many times.
Yeah.
But she's got to pay the freight for me to get there.
There you see, everything is with a price, and you have to pay people for their services. You cannot just bypass that. No one will just do services for people for free. That's why they give you a free attorney. And I tell people this all the time. They give you a free attorney because free sounds great, right? Mm-hmm. If I have 2 meals, one says free and the other one says you got to pay for it, I'm going to take the free, right?
Sure.
That's just a normal human behavior. Now, when it comes to attorneys, when the state gives you an attorney for free, you better believe that attorney's not working for you.
He's working for the state.
There you go.
Because they know most people can't afford it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't get a good attorney. That doesn't mean you can't get to Vincent or get a good investigator. You have to put your work in. The state just did something horrible to you. Get ready to fight.
I understand that. I'm actually reading this. She said, are there any PIs that are starting out that work a lot cheaper for the experience? How can I find a PI in Virginia, that's not a lot of money. I just paid $3,500 retainer for my attorney. I'm a grandparent. I hate to break this to you. $3,500 is not going to be it to work on a CPS case. So that $3,500 attorney, I'm curious if it's a family law attorney, because
It might
usually
be
for
family law.
juvenile
Sounds like it.
cases, no way it's $3,500. I am sorry to break it to you. So that attorney, family law attorney, most likely will come back and ask you for more money. And this attorney will not continue the case without $6,000 more or $8,000 more.
Now
So
there are private investigators that will charge $40 an hour, $400 an hour, and everywhere in between. Okay, and each case is different. We, as investigators, have a set menu that we go by because it's easier rather than guess. Okay, I'm just going to do this one for 80 an hour, or the retainer is only going to be 4,000 or 1,000. It all depends on what you need us to do and the hours we need to put into it. So talk with an investigator, but make sure he's not brand new and got his license a month ago.
Yeah, you don't want you don't want a cheap PI.
No, you will. Oh my gosh, you listen to the stories if you have to. You have to get an investigator that has been doing this for a while, at least more than 5 years. Okay, just specifically in CPS, but they have to have a long track record of experience. Like Dave has been doing it a long time. He knows everything that needs to be known about going out and investigating a case. I've been doing it almost 20 years. I have really good knowledge about the way laws work, west side, middle of the country, all the way to the other side, because we have to know these things. But we've been doing it for so long, we know the right way to handle the case and every situation.
That is true. I got when I had Dave on my show, I got so like a few calls about him, and people knew of him. And then when I spoke to Art about you, Dave, Art was like, I heard about him. Remember, Art, you said,
Yeah.
he doesn't know me, but I know
I'm like,
of
I recognize that name.
Yeah.
I've heard it before in
Yeah.
circles. I'm like, Dave's been around. He knows what he's doing. He's made an
Yep.
amazing name for himself.
Yeah. Yep. And he is. I got really good feedback about
Okay,
Dave.
thank you.
And, yeah.
Well, my
And
investigation career started when I became a claim adjuster in 1974.
wow.
So
Yeah, that man knows what he's
Experience
doing.
counts.
Experience is very important.
Experience.
I remember one time I was talking to one of our clients, and I said, "Why would you go to a Rolls Royce dealership for Nissan prices?" I said, "If you go to the best of the best, why would you want to pay Nissan prices? No one in that dealership will give you a Rolls Royce for a Nissan price."
Yeah.
She paused for a second, and then she said, "You know what? You're right." I said, "We all get what we pay for. If I go to Payless, I get a pair of shoes. It's not going to last me as if I go get a 100% leather pair of shoes. That's more expensive, right?
Yeah.
That will not last me as long as the leather will, right? So I have to pay a little bit extra for the quality.
Right.
Quality. So you don't want cheap. And that's why I'm like, what is the cheap? Because the cheap is going to get you to more money also. Because now
And
you
it
have
will
to buy
cost
another one
right.
and get rid of this one. So you lost the money you paid for this one. And then you have to get another one that's, more money, or you continue to pay cheap. And then you're going to end up having the same amount that you would have paid for a qualified, right?
That's
Attorney.
exactly true. Because in your office, and I've heard
Right.
the stories,
A lot.
people come to you, like 65, 70% of the people. I had this lawyer that took my money. They took like $10,000, didn't do anything. I need you to fix this. Now
Right.
you have Vincent that has to fix this. Now they have investigators. You have Dave that's got to now come out and fix your case. We do put out fires. We do it all the time. But then they complain to us, well, I just gave this investigator a $5,000 retainer. Now, how much are you going to cost? Let's say, listen, you're coming to me. We are here to help you. That's it. Okay. we're going to charge what we feel is necessary to fix your case. And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kids
it's
are very
unfortunate.
important. Yeah, go ahead,
It's
Dave.
unfortunate they've been exploited before we get involved, but we can't help that.
Yeah, that's not our fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
just
that's
help
the
how
thing
we can.
too. Right. Like we have a couple of people that said they come to us when the kids are adopted. When are the kids adopted? 2019.
Right.
Oh,
They
man.
were adopted 2019. We're in 2022. And she said,
Yeah,
well, I want to get the adoption reversed. I said, ma'am, that's going to cost you
that's
a lot of money.
Yeah.
that's a
Because
lot of
that's
work.
2019 or 2009. We have cases from 2009 that want to get adoption reversed. You can't think or process how much work it's oh my god,
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
it's
It's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
work.
work.
It's a lot of
It's a lot
work.
of paperwork. It's a lot of court dates we have
Yeah,
to go to and deal with. And, but it's what we do.
right. It's a lot of work. And the thing about it is, you guys cannot expect a qualified professional, knows strategy, knows their job very well, to accept pro bono work. It's not gonna happen, because those people dedicate themselves to get the information, accurate information, and having the strategy to get the job done. And that goes with PIs and goes the same way with attorneys. If your attorney doesn't have a strategy for your case, then
You're
why are
wasting money.
why are you wasting your money? The strategy is very important to win. Same thing with Dave, and same thing with Art. They all have to use strategy. Same thing with Mr. Davis. He speaks of strategy. Strategy is very, 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 very important. Okay?
Right.
You can't just go to court and say, hey, my client is innocent, bring the kids home. It doesn't work that way.
It's a process.
It's a process. There's a process. Right? They already damaged your case for a year or 6 months or 5 months, right?
Yeah.
Don't expect the attorney to take 2 days to solve what they've done. And don't expect Dave and Art to solve everything in one day.
No, it takes
Doesn't
time,
work
but
that way.
we'll get to the truth. We'll get the
Right,
information you need.
right. Carissa said, I've hired several attorneys that have not been the best. Do your research like everything else. Like Georgette is saying, listen to Georgette.
Yeah.
She knows
Listen to
what
Miss
she's
G.
talking about. People, do your homework. Make sure it's juvenile dependency attorney. Check everything out. Hire a private detective. You need to do this. You need this. You need to, I guess, do this. She forgot the do part. Your child, I know we don't have money for all this, but you have to find it, because I am sure if you needed to find at home a car, new shoes, or something else, you guys wanted something. All right, Chris, I go get some coffee.
It's
So
coffee time.
it's coffee time, baby girl. But she's right. I mean, she's very right. And I know Carissa hired a private investigator. No need to mention any names. But however, it's very important for you guys to understand that these people that do this to our children, they know what they're doing. They know people. Most people make 25 to 3,200. I mean, $32,000 a year. They know
They
this.
know.
They know this, and they know that you can't just hire a attorney.
They
However,
exploit it. Yeah.
right. However, that client I was telling you guys about, she went from door to door. She
Yep.
literally told me that. She said, Georgette, during the rain, cold season, it doesn't matter. She did this in the winter, and she didn't care if it was raining. She didn't care if it was freezing. She still did it,
Yeah.
and people helped her. She said one person gave her $2,500 and told her Merry Christmas, and that he wishes she gets her kids back. It was a husband and wife. They donated that much.
Wow.
And they don't know her. They have no idea who she is. But they felt bad for her story. Other people do GoFundMe account, like Dave said. GoFundMe account. The only thing you cannot mention when you have an open CPS case is your child's name
Right.
You cannot mention the judge's name, and you cannot mention the social worker's idiotic names. Okay, you can't. I can't stand social workers. I can't stand them. So you can't mention these types of names on the GoFundMe account. Okay, if you don't want to mention anything about, if you don't want to do it, then have your sister, your best friend do it for you. Okay, um, it's very important to get an attorney, you guys. I can't emphasize that enough. You cannot go to a foot doctor for your heart disease. Same thing goes with the courts. You cannot go to court saying, oh, I filed this, I did this, I did that. I know what I'm doing. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't know. It takes years and years and years to become proficient at what you do.
Right. Eventually, you'll be calling us. Inevitably, somebody will
Yep.
screw something up, and we'll have to fix it. But we
There you go.
do that too.
But that costs money.
But it does. It takes a lot of time. It really
Yeah.
does. This isn't a one-day situation.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way, because now Dave and Art and Mr. Davis have to fix everything the other people did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you want to hire Dave and Art and say you tried to do it on your own and you screwed something up, right?
Yeah.
Now Dave and Art have to fix it. Same thing with Mr. Davis, law firm, and him. They have to now review the case, find a strategy to win your case, and that also costs money.
Yeah.
So it's very important to hire an attorney when it's the beginning of your case. Don't talk to the social workers. Don't open the door to a social worker. That's what Mr. Davis says.
Yeah.
He always says that. Do not speak to them. Once you open your mouth, it's like you're opening Pandora's box. You can't close Pandora's box. Am I right?
Yeah. Just tell them, say,
open,
listen,
it's
I need to
open.
consult with my lawyer before I speak with anybody.
Yeah. Or I need to seek legal counsel. That's
I
very
need to
important.
seek legal counsel.
If you don't have one, tell them I need to seek legal counsel. That's it. Make sure you have cameras in the home. There is, I think Costco has like a Ring cameras, like 3 of them for like
Sure.
$2.99.
Even the little
the
nanny cams put on your shelf.
Yeah. I mean, come on, you have to be able to protect yourselves, and you have to be able to hire the right people for the job.
100%.
Okay. Thank you guys. I want to thank you, Dave, and I want to thank you, Art.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Today. And let me just let people. There was a lady that asked where you're located, Art.
California.
And then Dave is.
I'm in Indiana.
Indiana. And that's Dave's information.
But we work everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's a complaint more than a statement. So.
True. That's very true.
Yes.
That is very true. And this is Art's information again. And this is Dave's information. I just received 15 messages asking me where you guys located.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're in Texas and you need to get a hold of us, we will help find situations that will suit you. We'll help find other investigators because we have contacts all over the place, and we'll find you the correct investigator to help you in that area. If we can't, obviously we're not going to go and run 3 days of surveillance and, because that's going to be very expensive for you, but we will also help find you people.
Right. Okay. So this is when he says, I'm in New York City. I'm curious if you guys have people out there too.
Of course.
Okay. So thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you, Dave, and thank you, Art. God bless
Thank you,
for
Georgia.
the jobs that you do, and keep fighting the good fight. And God help us all, really.
All right.
People, and I'll see you guys at 1 p.m. today.
See you at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
1 p.m.
All right,
today.
guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.